Hi, I am Russell, and in this video we are going to look at the world of custom expressions in OEE Studio. Custom expressions are an advanced feature which can take your production data analysis to a whole new level. Custom expressions are used in the grids, typically the pivot grids, to allow you to perform custom calculations on your data. For example, you can associate a cost to your unallocated downtimes, or in fact to any specific down reason, and then estimate the total cost of these events on your organization over a time period. As another example, you can calculate the day of week or day of month for an event, and then use that to perform custom daily analysis of your production data. It is also possible to use custom expressions to group loss reasons based on a word or phrase in that loss reason for custom analysis. In the displayed example, we are looking to identify only loss reasons that contain the word liner. Let's use this very example to demonstrate the procedure of creating and modifying our first custom expression. As described, here we will create a simple formula to determine if the word liner is found in the loss reason. Let's start by going to Availability, Tabular Analysis on the main menu, and we will keep this really simple and only look at one device. To create a new custom field, select the menu at the bottom of the screen and choose the Define Custom Fields option. There are two stages in creating a custom field. To start with, we must define what the custom field is. Think of this as the overall shape of the custom field. Here we will give the field a meaningful name, define the type of the field, how it will summarize the data, the source of data values used for the summary, as well as where the field must initially appear on the grid. Let's start with creating a custom field that will return true or false depending on whether the loss reason contains the word liner. We will give the field the name liner, the result type will be Boolean, the summary type can be ignored in this case as we are not returning numerical data. We will be using the actual underlying data of the loss reason field, so we will leave the calculation method as actual value. Finally, we want this field to appear in the row area of the grid. Select Proceed to Expression Editor to move on to the second part of the field creation process. The Expression Editor is where the logic of the custom field is defined. Here we create our own formulas using the data from existing fields. In this case, the field we are looking for is loss reason, and the formula we are going to use is the string formula contains, which will tell you if a substring exists in a string. Here the substring will be the word liner, and we want to see if this exists in the loss reason field from the grid. Start by navigating to the contains function. Notice that we can choose to only show string functions to narrow the choice. Double-click to automatically insert a function stub in the expression editor. Next, we need to specify the arguments to the function. The first argument requires the string to search in. Here we are not looking at a literal string, but instead looking at the loss reason field. This means that we need to delete the quotations and insert the loss reason field. Fields are identified using square brackets, and as with formulas, we can simply double-click a field from the list to avoid typing. The second argument is the substring to search for. Here we are using a literal string value, so we will type the word liner into the quotes. Returning to the grid, we can now see that there is a new field called liner in the row area as expected, which returns true or false. We can also move and rearrange and filter just like any other field. Notice that it appears as underlined on the column header, which identifies it as a custom field. Now let's demonstrate how to edit this custom field to display yes or no instead of true or false. Start by right-clicking on the custom field and choosing the Modify Custom Field option from the menu. This brings us back to the custom expression definition screen we saw earlier. We need to change the type of the field from Boolean to string, as we will now be returning the words yes or no, not true or false. In the expression editor, we need to include the Iif function found under the logical function types. I'm going to pronounce this as if going forward, even though it is spelled with two I's, because I honestly have no idea how to pronounce Iif. This is an extremely important function which is often used. It requires three arguments. The first is an expression which returns true or false. Then we need the result if the expression evaluates to true, and finally the result if the expression evaluates to false. This all sounds like quite a mouthful, so let's use our example. The expression is the formula we originally created, which returns true or false depending on the existence of the word liner. The result if this is true is the string yes, and the result if this is false is the string no. Let's put it all together as shown on the screen. Notice that it is completely acceptable to use one function with all its arguments as the argument to another function. In this case, we are using the contains function as the first argument to the Iif function. Press OK to accept, and we can see that instead of showing true or false, we are now showing yes or no as expected. If we want to save all this work, we can do so by pressing the Add to Favorites button and creating a saved favorite. This was a very basic example of custom expressions, but it did demonstrate some important fundamentals. We showed how to create a custom field using a formula from existing data. Then we demonstrated how to edit the custom expression and modify the result set using nested function calls. In later videos, I will demonstrate how to perform numerical calculations such as mean time between failure and the cost of unallocated downtimes. I hope that this video helped you understand the basics of custom expressions. Thank you for using OEE Studio, and please feel free to leave any feedback in the comments below.